Hey guys, my name's Karen. We're going to be going over a subject line masterclass in this video, how to create those perfect subject lines preview text for your emails, especially if you're a D2C e-commerce brand. We're going to be going over a few things here, 6 rules to follow, four small little hacks, a major AI prompt that you can pretty much plug and play into whatever niche industry you are in, and it'll spit out subject lines for days on end and 50 plus examples. So let's just get straight into it. Of course, this document, you can find it in the video description as well. But just as a bit of an intro here, if you don't already know the difference between a subject line or maybe what a preview text is, especially on like things like Gmail, the subject line is the bolded part here, and the preview text is usually the lighter, light gray text just beside that. If you're looking at it on mobile, it's usually stacked on top of each other. Now, why is subject lines so important? Well, obviously, we need to be getting people opening up our emails first before they can actually click and go to the website and make a purchase. So, obviously, this is going to influence the open rate quite a lot. If you don't have something intriguing, something that elicits the open, that actually sells the open, you maybe heard that before. Obviously, that open rate is going to be tanked a little bit. So, this is arguably one of the most important things to get right, because if no one's opening up email, then no one's going to be coming to your website and making a purchase. So just to put it in perspective, a lot of people get a lot of emails per day, actually 112 or 120 on average per day. So you're really competing for people's attention spans. And this is kind of what it looks like inside of the inbox. But worry not, in this video, we're going to be teaching you how to craft the perfect subject line. So some rules to follow. Rule 1 is don't go over 40 characters. As you can see here, especially on mobile, it can actually get cut off if you go past this limit, which isn't too good. People are going to be not fully informed of what you're saying, and if it's too long, people will just scroll right past it. So you're really better off opting for shorter and punchier subject lines with actually less words that still build that intrigue and interest for people to open. Another thing to think about, if you have a ton of words in your preview text and subject line, it can often give the impression that when people open up this email, they're probably more likely to be greeted with a big novel, which in this day and age, especially for D2C e-commerce, people aren't really sitting down and reading their emails these days, let's be honest. They're much more likely to be interacting with something like this, something nice, short, punchy, colorful, clear, great design to click on. And if your subject line also corresponds with that, short, punchy, clear, cute little emoji, they're more likely to expect something like this when they're opening up the email, and therefore going to be more likely to open it as well. So really, you just need to make a short, concise, clear message, and people were more likely to be opening that. Rule 2, be intriguing. So like I said before, you need to sell the open, and this couldn't be any closer to the truth. You want to spark some curiosity in the person's mind, especially when they're scrolling through the inbox or just scanning it on desktop. You want something to be catching their eye and make it super intriguing. So Dr. Squatch, if you're not familiar, is actually quite the master at this. Just take a look at some of these subject lines. Top 3 scents women love. So, when you're reading that, you're like, what are those top 3 scents? Free lotion is rad. Again, you're getting them thinking like, free lotion? Is that for me? Is that from somebody else? How do I get that free lotion? That type of thing. Things like that all run through the customer's mind, within a fraction of a second. And, that's going to decide whether or not they actually open up the email or not. So get creative, be intriguing, and really the best way to get good at this is just looking at other examples like this in your own inbox. Rule 3, so capitalization of letters. Some people say, yeah, you should capitalize every letter in your subject line. Some say you shouldn't use any capitalization at all to make it look, casual, like it's from a friend, that type of thing. There's really no right or wrong answer here. You really just want to be A/B testing this and see what works for your customer base and your brand. It may make sense to actually do something like Dr. Squatch and just have the capital letter at the very start. But if you're doing something or making something a bit more punchy, maybe you're a fashion brand, then maybe this would make sense where it says your perfect summer bag with all capital letters at the very start. Okay, so rule 4, email deliverability. Now, I wouldn't say this is like the worst thing you can do for your email deliverability, but it definitely does have a factor to it, where especially if you're using caps in your entire title, your email is more likely to be sent to the promotions tab than the primary inbox. And same if you're spamming emojis or you're using any spammy words. Spammy words probably are more likely for you to get sent to the spam inbox, which isn't too great, but it is something to be wary of. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you did, send a subject line full of caps. We actually do have a client that does that. It's just more likely you'll be sent to the promotions tab than the primary inbox. So just to be clear, if you are looking for pristine email deliverability, I would avoid doing these 3 things, using too many emojis, caps, and spammy phrases. Okay, so rule 5 is understanding your audience. Pretty obvious one, and something you really should take in consideration, especially with the copy of your subject line. A good example for this is, if you're a men's clothing store and you sell a collection of leather bags, most likely it's going to be 9-to-5ers that are buying this, especially going to the office. So something you could say for the subject line is, the office will notice this with a little bag emoji, or your new daily carrier. And just something relevant and relatable like that can really go, a long way. Another example of here is, maybe you're a store that sells lip balm and likely your audience is, teenage to adult women. So again, you want to appeal to the common problem of, having dry and cracked lips. And really just what you want to say here is something like, keep those dry lips at bay, say no to cracked lips, angry emoji, that type of thing. So you really just want to enter the mind of the reader and, say phrases that they're probably already thinking about or thinking of, and that's going to elicit a lot more opens as well. Rule 6, just A/B test it. Everything that I've said so far and for the rest of the video is always going to be subjective. You always want to be A/B testing what works for your audience and what they're going to be receptive to. So things you can A/B test here is, longer versus shorter subject lines, using caps, lowercases, emojis, no emojis, preview text, no preview text. Having the actual, maybe if you're doing a sale, you want to have the discount code in the subject line or not, what brings in more sales, that type of thing. And just lots of different things you can really A/B test here. Because again, these are just recommendations and best practices of what we've seen work with our clients. But again, you do need to A/B test it and see what works for yours, because every industry, brand, customer base is going to be different. Okay, so we actually have a little preview text guide here. Now, this is, again, just that light gray text under or beside the actual subject line of the email. And, using Klaviyo and other, major email sending platforms, you can actually customize this preview text to your liking and change it around. If you are sending a complete plain text HTML email, it does automatically just go to, whatever the first sentence is of your actual email. Just like, how you would send a normal email from Gmail or wherever. But because we are sending from an ESP, something like Klaviyo, we can actually customize this. So what this preview text should really be is just like a supporting phrase of your subject line. And it gives a bit more context about the email's content and what they should expect when they open up the email. So a good example of this is, the subject line being 3 new toys just dropped. Again, they got me thinking, what are these new toys? That type of thing. And the preview text would be, can you guess what they are? No, and that's when they open up the email. Some other great examples, you love them, so we added more. Really great one. We got the emoji capturing attention. You love them, what did I love? And then, so we added more. Again, lots of intrigue there. Dragons rule, facts are facts. very vague, intriguing. What dragons? 1 hour warning, sweet tooth. Do not miss out on the collection. That's pretty fun. Little play on words there, and just some great examples to use. Okay, moving on. Subject line hacks you can try. First one being the use of emojis. So if you just look at this image right now, imagine you were just on your computer scrolling through your emails. What is your eyes, going towards? Most likely it's going to be this one, the one with 3 emojis, this one, and then this one. It's obviously just because of the emojis, and I don't know why more brands don't use this more often. Emojis can really stand out in the inbox, but I wouldn't go past like 1 or 2, unless you're doing something creative here. 1 and maybe 2 is usually best practice. Again, too many, you start looking like spam towards, the inbox spam filters. How you really want to use emojis is just like adding context to the end of your subject line. So new travel essentials. So this is a brand from that actually sells like lots of beachwear, like women's beachwear. So adding a little palm tree here kind of symbolizes holiday, a beach, traveling, that type of thing. So new travel essentials kind of makes sense. And then another example here is summer is here. Obviously a sun, warm weather, summer. That all makes sense. Another creative way to add in emojis is actually replace a word with an emoji. So, maybe you want to say your is coming, and you wanted to put like a parcel emoji right here saying your order is coming, that type of thing. Hack 2, personalization. So again, this document will be linked in the bottom of this video, so you can actually go in and copy these codes and variables. And just to be clear, these are ones that work on Klaviyo, especially because that's where we work with our clients on. So a common thing or a common variable that you can use is including someone's first name in that subject line. For Klaviyo, this is going to be the code right here. And if you are looking on the stock, you can just press the copy button right here. And this will basically go in, and if we have the recipient's first name in our database, it's going to actually put their first name right there in the subject line. If we don't, then it's going to default to this, whatever this is here. So right now it's saying there. So if we scroll down, it's going to be looking something like this. Kieran, 5 tips to help you get into powerlifting. Hey, Kieran, powerlifting. Same type of thing. This is really just this code pasted right there when they're actually building up this email. Some other great personalization codes is this one. If you're doing a abandoned checkout flow, this is going to find their item, the top item that's in their cart, and put that in the subject line. So it could say, hey, your X1Z product is waiting at checkout, that type of thing in the subject line. Another one is for the abandoned browse flow. Again, it's different within Klaviyo. You want to be putting this event.name inside those brackets. And again, we'll just do the same thing. Whatever last viewed, you can actually put that into the subject line. So again, I would highly recommend A/B testing this and seeing, if that elicits more opens, more clicks, and getting people back to that website. So hack 3, use of numbers. Again, bit of psychology here, but just by looking at these 2 subject lines, hacks to get your open rate up, or 3 simple hacks for open rate, which one are you more likely to click? It's probably the latter, just because we're giving just enough context for the reader to be like, hey, it's going to be 3 simple, concise hacks. Let's open this, let's read this, rather than this first line, because that could be anything. That could be a whole novel that they really just want to avoid. But just giving like 3 simple, that's nice, concise. People like short things that they can read and get the information from quickly. And like I've just said here, the majority of people these days, again, just want to be in and out of their inbox. They don't want to be stuck up, sitting down and reading through their emails. Again, they're getting so many emails per day. They want to be in and out, get information fast, quick, and effectively. So if you make your subject line correspond with that as well, 3 simple hacks, people are going to be, opening up, or more likely to be opening up that email. Hack 4, changing the sender name. Again, this is something you can do inside of Klaviyo. I know that for sure. I'm not sure if you're on another ESP, but inside of Klaviyo, you can change the sender name just by going to here inside of the email builder. And this can be a super cool trick, especially for like plain text emails, just to make that a little bit more, feel a little bit more personalized for the reader that's reading this. So again, if we get something called, John from Gymshark, you're going to be looking at it and be like, whoa, someone from Gymshark actually just emailed me. Then they'll open it and it's a, plain text personal email. And people will be like, oh, he actually went out of his way to email me. Not really, but subconsciously it's going to feel a bit more personal and people are going to interact with it a bit more nonetheless. And that is something, creative you can do just for those plain text emails especially. Okay, here we are, the ChatGPT prompt that you can use to craft unlimited subject lines as much as you want. As you can see, I do say here, I wouldn't recommend it all of the time because, again, AI, it's not really, can't really sound human sometimes, but I definitely would use this as a bit of a guide, framework, or especially when you're just out of ideas, to craft a bunch of subject lines, preview text, and then go in, pick out your favorite ones, and then tweak them a little bit just so they sound a bit more human. Especially, if you want to enter the mind of the reader and make it really relatable. Highly recommend actually just using this and then tweaking it afterwards. So I do say here, I would recommend using ChatGPT 4.0. ChatGPT will actually go in and research your e-commerce website for you, just using this prompt here. You can add a bit more context here, add in, details about your brand voice, what your typical customer looks like, what does your typical customer, what's their dream state, and everything like that, just to give, the bot a bit more context and relatable ideas it could spread out and spit out in. Okay, so once you've effectively primed ChatGPT with your website and all other context, you can just copy this prompt right here, and then you want to fill out, what's the email marketing campaign called, or what's the topic, and then what's the actual goal of it, like what action are you trying to elicit from customers when you send this out. Once you fill in those two key areas, paste in the rest here and just click enter and see what it comes out with. That's going to give you a really, really good starting point to actually go in, tweak, and then you can even go on even further and be like, hey, give me like 10 other alternatives for this subject line and preview text, and it'll just keep going and going and going. Okay, this is 50 plus examples for subject lines. I'm not going to go through every one. And again, you can look at this document in the video description, but this should give you some really good inspiration. I've actually picked these out from my own inbox, from emails that I've found, and from ChatGPT and some of the subject lines we actually use at our agency. But yeah, have a scroll through it, get some inspiration. Obviously, most of them or some of them won't apply to your store, but they are really good to get in and see what some good examples really look like. Okay, super secret last final tip here, and this is a bit of a pill to swallow, and it kind of flips the entire video on its head. But I do want to make clear here, no matter how intriguing or well optimized, well crafted your subject line is, it won't actually matter nearly as much as how good your emails are. If you're consistently sending out really good emails, high contrast, beautiful designed emails that people, love to open, they're creative, they're interesting, they're valuable, people actually find, helpful content in them. Over time, it doesn't really matter what you say in your subject line. People are just going to open up your email regardless, just because they love you, they love your brand, and that type of thing. So that is, something to keep in mind. People are going to be opening up your emails anyway, just by seeing your brand name pop up in their inbox. And really your focus should be on creating those really good email designs, really good email content, especially as well. So that kind of leads me into my next point. If you are an e-commerce brand, doing over 30, 50K per month, I do have my business email just in the description here as well. And we're actually offering out to build out a free entire 4 to 6 email flow automation for your brand. Maybe you need a revamp, or maybe you need a completely new flow. We'll actually build that out for you for free. All you have to do is just book in a little strategy call and we'll talk through what you need. That's it for the video, guys. Follow me, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. They're all in the video description. I have a bunch of other videos on my channel as well if you're new here. And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching, guys, and cheers.